that's roughly what it should look like, and that's what we've got. Been having trouble with hot water. Jamie will have cold water about halfway through her showers, and the girls, who take far longer showers than Jamie, about a quarter of the way through their showers. And I take longer showers than Jamie too, and they get cold. We've determined that I think it's the bottom heating element has gone out in our water tank. So we went and got these. We've got two of them because I figure if I'm doing it, might as well replace them both. And so these are 1.5 inch nut driver is what takes these out. I didn't have, or a socket. I didn't have 1.5 inch socket. And just so happens they had this guy for sale at Ace. And so hopefully this will work for what we need it to do. It's 1.5 inch, and it's designed just for it. It's the water heater element 1.5 inch socket kit. So it's fairly cheap. I've used my volt ohm meter, and I've got voltage coming to both of them. When I turn the thermostat up on this one, you know, it clicks, it starts getting voltage, and it starts heating. You can hear it heating. When I do that one, it clicks, starts getting voltage, and there's nothing. Doesn't seem like it starts to heat. I haven't ohmed it out yet, so that's what I'll do. Right now the power's on. This is 240 volts, so you got to be real careful because it'll hurt. So I got the panel right behind me here. I'm going to shut the electricity off. I'm going to detach the wires, and I'm going to ohm it out. And all the research that I've done, they say really what happens with these things is they start getting mineral buildup on them, you know, and like there's only, you know, less than 1/4 inch spacing in there, and the mineral deposits will build up and it'll start touching, and so it just won't heat up, and it usually happens right up here on the neck. All right, so here's our panel. Luckily it's inside because it's raining outside and I don't want to go outside. And luckily everything looks like it's pretty well labeled in here. This is labeled water heater, this one right here. I'm gonna ohm it out, or use the voltmeter, make sure at the water heater should have 240, and then I'll shut that off, check again, should have nothing. So I've already taken the covers off. They've got this insulation in there, and then there's just this cover. I've already taken those off of both the top and the bottom, and then it's got this plastic piece, and this just protects you from touching that stuff. So I'll take that off of there real quick and get the volt ohm meter going. So we go up to this top. Those are the two that we check, and we're right at 244. So that's definitely what we want to make sure. And a way to check to make sure, I mean, that's obviously how you check to make sure both legs are working. But if you just wanted to check and see, make sure you had 120, you could go to one lug and then come down here to the tank, and you got 120 there. Go to the other lug, come down to the tank, and you got 120 there. So now I'll shut the power off, and then we should have nothing. So again, this is a labeled water heater. I'll just shut that off, come back over to the water heater, and check it again. And we got 0. Perfect. So what I've done is I've opened up one of these packages and I've just ohmed this out. right here, and you can see that I'm about 12.5 is what that ohms out at. So then I come over here. Now I've shut the power off. 12.4. What did I say?
12.5.
12.4 ohms, roughly 12.4. I've already shut the power off, and I've disconnected the wires for the thermostat. I mean, from the thermostat to the heater itself, the heating element itself. And when I ohm this one out, this is the top heating element, it ohms out about 12.6, which is pretty close to the other one. Now we come down to this lower one, and again, disconnected the wires, and it's showing open. What that tells us is that our bottom heating element has gone out. And when you look at the side of your water heater, it'll tell you on this information plate, you know what it is, 240 volts AC, all that stuff, but this is the number we're concerned about. The upper heating element is 4500 to 3380, the lower 4500 to 3380. That matters because looking right there, we've got the 4500 watt replacement, 4500 watt, 240 volt. So what we have to do now is we got to hook a hose up there, out the door, and drain the water, and hope that this cheap shutoff doesn't start leaking on us in doing so. First, I'm going to shut the inlet water off. So this is our outlet, this is our inlet. And if you don't know, most of the time they are labeled up here. This one's labeled cold, and then this one's labeled hot. But if they're not labeled or you're not sure, most of the time you can tell it unless you have no heat at all, because your outlet will be warm, your inlet will be cold. So this is warm to the touch, and that's cold to the touch. So this is going to be the pipe coming in. So we'll shut that off, and then we'll open up some hot water faucets in the house. We'll probably do one upstairs, the kitchen, and the bathroom. And then I'll hook up a hose to this, run it out the door, and we'll drain this tank. And I have to drain this tank pretty much all the way out, unfortunately, to get to that bottom one.
Well, that's icky.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of that came from the
Hose.
So I've got a hose hooked up to it. I've opened up the T&P. I've got the hose running outside. I'm gonna go see if I've got flow. I've got some faucets opened as well. The idea is you don't want to create an air gap in here, so it doesn't seem like it's flowing all that great.
You can hear it.
Yeah. When you shut it, you can hear it, so maybe it is flowing good. It's running slow, but it is running. So we'll let that drain. It's a 50-gallon tank, so it'll take it a little while to drain out. Early in the morning, we've got pretty much all day to get this done. So when it's done draining, we'll come back and replace the heating elements, and then see if we did the right thing. I did that so that I could see it draining from the house. I didn't have to keep coming out here and checking. So far, there hadn't been any warm water coming out of there. So I've already pulled this one out. This is what the old one looks like. This one was the one that was still good. And it's, you can see, you want to make sure you get that gasket off, which it did. Second, just to verify, it's 240 volt, 4500, 3380 watt, which is exactly what we're replacing it with.
I thought that wasn't gonna fit.
I did too at first. I was like, oh, you. Everything that I've read said that those don't have to be, you know, He-Man'd off of there. Because it's got that gasket. And I've already loosened this bottom one. But it was not easy. Oh.
It broke, didn't it?
Well, that's why it wasn't working. I was not expecting that. So, as you can see, this is why the bottom one wasn't working. That's roughly what it should look like, and that's what we've got. So, when I was digging around in there, I realized there is a ton of junk down inside of this this tank. So I kind of makeshifted myself a little something to get some of it out at least. The plan is eventually we're gonna replace this tank, but if we can make it go for just a little bit longer, that was the goal here, because a tank is a lot more expensive than a couple of heating elements. So we're gonna see how this works. I got as much of it cleaned out as I could. Here's some of the bigger chunks. Just looks like calcium deposits or something along those lines. It's to be expected in a water tank that's as old as this one is. 2003 is the manufacturer date, so I'm assuming that it was installed at some time 2003 or 4, maybe 5. So it's been here for a little while. But I got as much of it cleaned out as I can. Like I said, we're going to replace this tank. Jamie really wants to go with the tankless. You know, it'd be a lot smaller footprint here. So that might be something that we look at in the future. But for today, we're going to do this. So again, the gasket came off the old one. This one's got a gasket on it. So it's gasket. Make sure it's in place.
That was a lot.
What?
That was a lot.
It was a lot. Alright. Make sure everything's out of the way. So I got it tight. This wrench definitely came in handy, or socket, I mean. If you don't have an 1.5 inch, that really came in handy. I'm gonna get water back in this, and see how it goes. I think I'm gonna leave this open for a minute to try to drain some more of the sediment out if I can. Then we'll see if these are leaking, and put it all back together and see if we get hot water. All right, we got the tank refilled, all the wiring put back together. I just flipped the breaker on, and now we're gonna come over to the water heater and we're gonna check and see if we've got the voltage that we're needing. So how we do that is the same way we did before. I've got it on volts, and so I'm checking this top here. So right there to right there, 243, 244, 243. The next two down, same thing. And then same thing right there. So that's what we're looking for. This top one should be working. And we've got 240 roughly there. And then I go to one of them and then to the tank. Yep. 118. And then do the same thing here. Ground to the tank. 118, 119. And that's what we're looking for. Now down low, I don't have anything just yet because that thermostat hasn't kicked on yet. So this one kicks on, heats the water to the set temperature. Then the bottom one kicks on, heats the water to the set temperature. They work alternate of each other. One thing too to mention is when I was filling the tank, I did leave this temperature and pressure valve open slightly for a little while. We left some of the faucets open to drain the air, because as this refills, it's going to be putting air back into the system. So you can see I've got that in. And if you go down here, I've got that one in as well. No leaks. The tank is full. Again, cross power coming in. I've got about 241. Now on this one, it is off currently. I've got 0. If we go down here, so down here, when I go across, got about 240. Yeah, you see that, which is perfect. So, how I check this top one is I'll turn it up. You'll hear the click. So there's the click, which turns this one on. So now I'm at 240 there. And I'll turn that one off. So I've got nothing there. 240 there. So I want to set this one. It's about just over 125. And the bottom one is the same. Everything looks good. We've got hot water at the faucets. Thermostats are running right. Okay, so right there is a reset button. For your thermostat. So those two lines, the black and the red, are the hot coming in. This yellow is coming off of that side down to this side. Then you've got the red and the blue. The red goes down to the bottom thermostat. The blue goes, element. The blue goes to this element. The black goes down to the bottom thermostat to feed it. And you can see right there is the temperature gauge. You just turn it with a little screwdriver and it's all good to go. And this right here is the plastic piece that goes over it. Obviously you don't want to touch any of this while you're doing. And then it just goes like that. So now we're here on the bottom. It's the same thing, just got the thermostat, temperature gauge, and then the element. So like I said, the red wire comes down from up top, black wire to here, and all this does is communicate with what's up top there. Everything seems to be working good. I'm happy with it. There's some water here. I think this is dripping, which is not ideal, but not too terribly surprising. These cheap plastic ones seem to always leak after you mess with them, so hopefully we can get that stopped, or maybe I'll just get a little cap to put over that. until we can get it replaced, the water heater. So this one is much the same, just a little bit smaller. It's got that piece up on top and the two clips, and that clips on the same way on the top. Push it in there and it covers it. Then we'll put the insulation back on here and back on the top one, and put the covers back on to keep them protected. And that's the job completed. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Hopefully you can learn something from this. Hopefully I did it the right way. By no means am I a plumber or an electrician. And if you're unsure about any of this at all, hire somebody to do it for you. But this may be a way to save yourself some money. Plumbers are expensive, electricians are expensive. And if you are handy at all, it's something that most people are able to do on their own. It'd sure help us out a lot if you'd like and subscribe and keep watching. Hit the notification bell so you'll know when we put videos out. And just give us some support. Check us out at our Facebook page too. We post a lot of pictures there. Links down in the description. And we'll see you on the next one, guys. Be blessed. Tell me when.
When?
Go ahead. Is it going?
Mm-hmm.
Like right now?
Yes.
It's recording?
It's recording.
Like right now?
Right now.
Right now, right now?
Yeah, right now.
Are you sure right now?
Hey, Kurt.
I should have taken a picture of which way the wires go. I don't know if it matters or not. Pretty... What?
The flashlight's on in your pocket.